Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. My name is Literally Dead, and today there's a new hero, the Apprentice Knight Mano, who looks, kind of like a good boy. With that out of the way, let's just unlock him. And done. Alright, I always like these screens. Let's check him out in the barracks. He kind of has like a golden retriever vibe, and it's cool. I mean, it's pretty new because all the male characters in the game either look serious, stoic, or intimidating, so it's kind of silly to see like a happy-go-lucky smile. Almost like he doesn't know the shit that he's about to get into. Anyways, allow me to read his description. Mano has been a member of the Knights ever since an age when other children would stay safe with their parents. Wielding swords and other weapons is not his specialty, but that is not because of his young age. Rather, it is because of his warm nature and embracing others. Yeah, what a little sweet guy. Anyways, let me ruin that for you because the motherfucker has a knight skin for the first time skin purchase, and I have to say, that just sucks. I hate this stuff so much. Anyways, that has a description too, so let me read that one too, I guess. Mano is the direct apprentice of Knight Commander Azalin. I think it's Azalin? I'm gonna call her Azalin. There are a lot of rumors as to why Azalin has taken Mano, but nobody knows for certain. Pretty cool, but I wish they did something cool for once and not do like an actual garbage fucking first time skin. I don't know. I think I don't know if I'm the minority in this. Let me know if you feel that way too. Anyways, let's see how well he does in chapter 1. He's a hero lock hero, so that makes this very difficult. So I'm just going to use a full hero lock team with 10 hero, 10 greed, and 10 blood. I feel like that's going to give me a good chance to get as many Mano as I can on the first round. And also the relics I'll be running will be the greed relic, insignia relic, and shield relic. And keep in mind there are some major raid changes for the raid bosses, and I'll talk about that later in the video, so stay tuned for that. Alright, so since he's not built for combat, look at how little damage he does to just like a regular goblin. He's not going to get very far, unless I add multiple, which is what I'm going to do. He actually does really decent healing, so that's pretty cool. And if no other heroes are on the field, he just heals himself. So I'm going to use 3 Mano just to see what happens, and this is going to take a while, because again, they don't do as much damage as regular heroes do. And also, that's how many I can get a mighty block from the shield relic, so that's why I chose 3. Alright, well, while that's going on, let's talk more about this dude. He's from the Central region, he's a Mystic class, and his ability is called Oath of Protection. During the duration, he concentrates on the linked target and delivers a certain percentage of Mano's attack power as the target's hero's basic ability. On top of that, the linked target's health is restored by a certain amount per second. Basically, there are now 2 heroes that link to another, like a hero, so it's like a link type ability. It's him and LUNI. Heroes with the Link skill can't use it on more than 2 heroes at the same time in one formation. The skills Blessing of the Blue Moon of LUNI and Oath of Protection of Mano bind to a nearby target before the battle starts and have the ability to grant beneficial effects to the target. These 2 are classified as heroes with Link skills and cannot be used together in the same formation. Heroes with the Link skill provide more beneficial effects than other support heroes like Agath, Alberon, Bardry when linked to a target. However, using multiple heroes with the Link skill can lead to a strategy where one hero will get boosted like crazy and it will change the game's diversity of strategies. Therefore, they have not released any heroes with the Link skill other than LUNI. However, they decided to create this new hero with this Link skill, and they believe that always using LUNI in a strategy focus on a single hero's combat power can also cause strategic boredom. They placed a restriction on using multiple heroes with the new skill on the same formation. Basically, you can't use LUNI and Mano on the same team. Oh, and on top of that, I forgot to mention that Agath is now considered a hero lock hero, which is pretty interesting. So now we have like several hero lock heroes on our thing. We have a lot more diversity, or like you have a lot more potential basically to make teams with hero lock heroes. In my opinion, I think that's pretty cool. Agath wasn't particularly strong, can't really do much on her own. But if we're going to go in that direction, you can make an argument to say Behemoth maybe could be a hero lock hero. I don't know, that's just my opinion. Let me know down in the comments to see if any of the heroes currently out, which one could also be like a hero lock hero. Oh, and the last small change I wanted to mention was you now have a higher chance to get Zuo Bai and Zuo Yun in the Scroll of Blessing. The title they have is the Dance of the Phoenix, which is a pretty cool title in my opinion. Anyways, get them while you can. Back to this chapter 1 run, yeah, Mano doesn't do a lot of damage, and he struggles like pretty much every round. We've had a lot of close calls, and yeah, this is taking up a lot of time. I cut out the rounds where I was doing all the summoning just because it takes so long, because I need to maximize my Mano every single round in order to possibly survive. So I feel like I cut out like 8 minutes of summoning and merging and all that good stuff, so you are welcome for cutting that out. But as of right now, I think I like the idea of Mano, the fact that he can heal. He kind of does the same effect where he boosts heroes, but at the same time I feel like he's not as strong in boosting heroes as LUNI. So I feel like I'm going to be continuing to use LUNI and not use Mano as much. I mean, I could be very wrong, so I mean, we'll just have to see over time, but as of right now, I just don't see as big of a use for him as LUNI. You know, I was worried about the boss because, you know, the stun can cause the Mano to just completely get obliterated, but I think they just got really lucky with the positioning, and surprisingly, they were able to beat the chapter, and just barely though. Definitely a big factor as to winning was getting a +4 silver. It helped a lot, but hey, I showed that it's possible, you know? So anyways, let's level him up to level 20 to see if he can still manage something harder like chapter 8. And while I'm doing that, let me go over his new abilities. At level 4, he gives plus 30% movement speed to targets he buffs with his ability, and at level 8, he gives minus 30% damage taken to targets he buffs with his ability. His awaken ability is called Assistance, where if the linked ally has a higher star level than Mano at the start of the battle, Mano's mana, which is kinda silly sounding, but anyways, Mano's mana is fully charged and the attack transmission effect of Oath of Protection is increased by 30%, which is pretty good in my opinion. Oh, also I had so many like experience books and medal stuff to level him up, so I got it pretty quick. Anyways, we're gonna do chapter 8 now, and I changed the 10 points the Altar of Blood to 10 points the Altar of Mage because I thought that his self-healing was more important, so I thought that using Mage would be a little bit better. Alright, well, while this is going on, let's talk about the raid changes. So for the raid bosses this season, it'll be Blacksmith, Blood, Mage, and Greed Incarnates, and each one has a new and improved change. First up, King level Incarnates have been added to the game, which can definitely be more challenging than the Diamond level Incarnates. The King level Incarnate will show up after defeating each Incarnate 20 times, and they have a starting health of 8 million and increased by 2 million each time the Incarnate is defeated. They also have a unique Divine Protector property. Alright, let's talk about the individual Incarnate changes, starting with the Blacksmith Incarnate. Its ability targeted all heroes, but now targets all nearby heroes within 3 blocks. There used to be a feature where there was damage reduction if the boss was hit from the front and increased damage if the boss was hit from the back, but now it grants a debuff that lasts for 4 seconds and can stack to heroes within 3 blocks every round. Reduce damage taken by the avatar by 10% per debuff stack of the target. When moving, using the skill becomes invincible for 10 seconds and ignore the effects of Craftsman Trap and debuffs and deal 200% more damage. Finally, the King Divine Protector property for the Blacksmith Incarnate causes the ability to last 300% longer. Basically, they decided to add gimmicks that provide bonus damage when a character uses movement skills and set a limit to the boss's skill so that users can also consider long-range heroes in the raid. In my opinion, that's a pretty interesting change, and I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a good or bad change yet. We'll just have to see. Let me know down in the comments below if you think it is or not. Next up is the Blood Incarnate. It used to take 60% less skill damage taken and 50% more attack damage taken, but now it receives 40% less damage, and each hit increases the debuff by 1 stack for 4 seconds. For each stack of debuff, receive 0.3% more damage, and then its King Divine Protector property. It obtains 9 Mighty Blocks per target hit with its ability. They designed the Blood Incarnate as a boss that stacks Mighty Blocks continuously so that heroes with fast normal attack speed can have an advantage facing it. However, among the heroes with high DPS, there are already many heroes who can remove Mighty Block effectively. And I guess they thought that there was no distinguishing feature with the Blood Incarnate, so they decided to change its property so that heroes with fast attack speed can have a definite advantage in facing the boss. This is probably the change I like the most so far. I think it's a good change. Next up, the Mage Incarnate just has a new Divine Protector property. Basically, it has 2 more normal attacks with 100% increase in spell power. They said that players are hitting Mage as they intended, so nothing will change. However, the King Divine property makes the boss sound super strong. Nothing is going to survive that shit, so good luck to you if you're going to hit that. And finally, the Greed Incarnate also has some interesting changes. Before, it took 60% less damage taken from non-adjacent enemies. However, now it received damage minus 40% each time you receive a stun effect from a different enemy. The debuff increases by 1 stack for 4 seconds, and the damage received per debuff stack increases by 20%. Now, if that wasn't crazy enough, well, the King Divine Protector property allows the Greed Incarnate to insanely reduce damage until it is stunned 5 times. 5 times. Yeah, good luck to you on that one. The Greed Incarnate has a trait that increases damage taken from adjacent enemies and can be unlocked by a hero who uses the stun state. However, heroes with high accumulated damage have short range, and there are variables that can stun with items. So it was possible to attack in the same way as other Incarnates. In the Silver trait, they basically changed it to provide an advantage of employing multiple heroes who can stun, which can be effective in differentiating from other Incarnates. Well, that's all the changes for the raid, like all the raid bosses, and yeah, this is going to be a very interesting raid season. I want to see how things go, things change, and all that good stuff. Anyways, let's look back at our Mano and see how he's doing. Well, he's doing a decent job with dealing with all those vampire princesses. I feel like that's the biggest problem, especially because I need 3 Mano to even get past this. But like I said, he's doing a pretty decent job, so this is like the best position I could possibly think of, though. I couldn't really think of anything else. Maybe I'm just like too small brain to think of anything like intelligent, so if this isn't like an optimized possible way, well, oops. But other than that, this is the best I can think of. And I unfortunately couldn't get past round 18. I couldn't think of a good position again, so there was not much I could do. I'm honestly very impressed though that a Hero Lock hero could do this much on his own. Anyways, well, that's all I got for you today, so let me give you my final thoughts. I think Mano is cool design-wise, but like, do we really need him in the game? Based on his attributes, he seems like a niche Lunier, and he's not as good as Lunier at some things, like overall damage buff, since he seems to only do attack buffs. But I think he's better at other things though, but unfortunately they're pretty niche and they're not as relevant to other game modes. So like, what's the point in using Mano if you could just use Lunier? I don't know, that's just kind of me rambling. I think the design is unique, yet not at all at the same time. So I'd say he's a solid 6 out of 10 for me as it stands. It'll probably change over time, but that's just how I see it right now. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and if you do, Mano will be your friend. I mean, look at him. Doesn't he look like the kind of guy who could just befriend anybody? Well, you could potentially be one of those people if you subscribe right now. Anyways, I'll see you later.